What's up, Party Rental people? This is Justin for Party Rental Knowledge. Today, I got Yard Card Supply here to talk to you about yard cards and yard signs, yard greeting business. There's so many different names that I've heard uh, going into this. I don't even know. You know what I mean? I've heard it. For the most part, it's putting a bunch of signs in people's yards to say happy birthday and other cool stuff in multiple different colors and letters and different stuff. And it honestly, this year has been the year of the yard cards for the most part. This
Mhm.
past year, this past pandemic year, but now this year is probably going to be the year of the water slides, or it could be the years of the water, or it could be the year of the yard cards again. Who knows? Who knows? But
Well,
I got
and yard cards go with
Ginger. I got
everything.
Vanessa. Right? They do go. They're a great. You can
Mhm.
run a yard card business, or you can run yard cards as an add-ons to your business. So that's a very good
Yes.
point for the most part. But I have Vanessa here, and I got Ginger here from a Yard Card Supply, and just figure out, ask you the question: Who are you, and what do you do?
Vanessa, you go first.
Go for
All
it.
right. Sorry, my camera gets a little funny. My name is Vanessa. I just live north of Denver, Colorado, and I am half of this crazy brain. I should even say half because we have an amazing staff, but I'm part of the crazy brain that came up with this thing called Yard Card Supply back in 2019. It's weird to even say. I was going to say last year, but it's 2021. It was kind of this two people that came together and said, we are looking for something that we can't find. We have competitors that are part of franchises, and we can't find this stuff we want. We want glitter, and we want sparkle, and we want all these things, and we want to be independent business owners, and we both have been running yard card businesses, and so it literally was two people sitting down, and as we love to call it, squirrel and butterfly. What if, and what if this and that, and here we are. Fast forward to 2021. It's been a crazy year, but an exciting year and a fun year to see our industry grow. It's always had a ton of potential. It just for yard carders that were yard carding before 2020, it was trying to get people to understand what it was, how cool it was, because it was not in the spotlight. And so until people saw it, they just had no idea what it was.
So Vanessa
Yeah,
and I got
it's
started.
funny because
Go ahead.
oh my bad. Yeah, it's funny because like party rentals in general blew up. I feel because you
Mhm.
can't go get entertained anywhere else. You have to stay
Correct.
home and do everything for the most part this year. So backyard waiting. This was the year of the backyard, if it really was the year of anything for the most part.
Yeah.
Because the year of the home, the stay home, wear your mask.
Yep.
What were you saying, Ginger? I'm sorry.
No worries. So Vanessa and I, one of the big gaps that we saw in yard carding was the lack of variety in graphics, fonts, finishes, all that good stuff. Both of us started making signs back in middle school. And so we have in signage, apparel, graphic design, we have over 30 years of combined experience in typography, graphics, occasion signs, stuff like that. And we pooled our resources and our experience to create Yard Card Supply. And one of the unique things about us is before we became printers and doing design work, we were both running independent yard card companies. So mine is Big B's Yard Cards in Yulee, Florida. Vanessa has Yardograms in Brighton, Colorado. And we still operate our rental businesses. We've never abandoned our local customers and that customer base for a couple of reasons. One, it's fun. We love putting happy birthday in people's yards, and every day we get to celebrate something. But on the other side, it really keeps us plugged into our industry. We know what the customers are asking for because our customers are asking for it. We know the variety of colors and demand for graduation and Mother's Day and Valentine's Day and all of those occasions because we're getting those same requests from our organic reach customers. And it gives us a perspective and oversight into the industry that some of our competitors may not have because they may not be operating day-to-day yard card businesses and they don't understand what that gap looked like 2 years ago. It was pretty bad.
It was
pretty bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. It's quite honest too. You're probably making some good money renting these signs as well, right?
Yeah. So
You're making
in the
good money
beginning,
doing it.
no.
No?
In the beginning, no. It was a desperate attempt for people to even know what a yard card was. They're like, wait, what? And then I think the biggest question was, oh, so I get to keep the letters? No, you don't get to keep. What are you going to do with the giant letters? No. In the beginning, no, it was maybe 1, 2, 3 rentals a month. Now it's 3, 5, 7 rentals a day. And that's because we've worked hard to establish our businesses.
So what do you think's harder? Is it harder for somebody to convince the kid that they can't keep the bounce house or can't keep the yard sign letters?
Ooh, definitely the bounce house. Definitely the bounce house. Yeah,
Believe me, I know the answer to that one.
Yeah. I actually got started with
it breaks
bounce
my
houses.
heart. I see kids cry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you have bounce houses still?
Yeah. No, not still. No, my business back in 2018, my husband started Big B's Bouncers, and he was retiring from the Navy, wanted an exit strategy, and he's like, you know what? I want to do bounce houses. These are fun. He's a big, strong guy, not a big deal. And of course, he didn't want regular bouncers. No. He had to get the bounce houses the size of my house. And so we ended up with like 6 units, but then he got a job in oil and gas, and I'm a big lady, but I'm not that big. I can't drag around a half ton of bounce houses. And
if I had like some oil or gas money, I'd probably be doing that too and having a whole YouTube channel about oil and gas. Because that's a lot better, more money than inflatables, but it's fun.
But I will tell you this, oil and gas is a volatile industry. And so depending on what's going on in the, geopolitical sphere, you might not have a job anymore. And when the pandemic hit and things started shifting, my husband actually lost his job. So April 2020, he went from a very lucrative career to unemployed. And thank God for yard cards, because it's what sustained our family while we were in the in-between.
It's brutal. Yeah, I would have been taking all that oil money and putting it on Tesla, though.
He put it in Bitcoin. Actually, we have Bitcoin, Tesla. Yeah, he did. Yeah, we've got some Tesla stock. A little bit. Like I'm not loaded like that.
Back to yard card.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Back to yard cards and yard signs, though. So how much does it cost to get started in the industry? What do you recommend? What is your advice on that question? How would you go with that question?
Vanessa, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I think this is the beautiful thing about yard carding. And, as things were getting crazy last year and people were losing jobs, it was like this big question of what do I have to do? And what's so great is it's scalable. The one thing we have always said about our business is we're not here to make you go broke. We're not a plan of doing the whole, the credit, things where you get credit to pay over months, because we don't think you should overinvest in it. If you have the money to buy 2 birthday sets and some letters, that's what you have the money to do. And you could start at $200. You could start, there were people that bought a couple flash sets from us. They did no names. They did flash sets and numbers. They maybe spent $200 or $300, and they've just slowly built out. And, it's been really cool to watch. We have starter sets starting, at $1,500, and you can go up. But again, we really push people to just define where you are, define your budget, what you're comfortable with, and start there. Because your customers, you set the expectations. If you tell your customers, I'm going to put up whatever you want, then they could literally say to you, well, I want a gorilla riding on top of an elephant. But if you tell your customers, here's what I have, here's what we carry, here's what's available, that's what your customers get. And we set the expectations. And so when it comes to how much does it cost to get started, it's really what's comfortable for your individual budget. I would say probably a minimum of $300. A lot of our customers didn't start with a website. They started with a Facebook page, and they got their feet wet first and then jumped into a website as they got comfortable. Ginger and I both, we have grown in scheduling platforms and things like that. We both started by scheduling out from Facebook.
Yep. And I think one of our favorite things to do, and it's something that we've done since day one, and we still continue it to this day, is discovery calls. It's basically a consultation with either one of our staff members who is also a yard carder, or depending on your need, you'll talk to either Vanessa or myself, and we'll talk to you about what is your budget, what is it that you're trying to do, what scale of business is this, a hobby, is it a side hustle, are you trying to have a revenue stream that's going to help support your family? And we'll work through those details and that information to help the customer make an informed decision. But like Vanessa said, you can get started with one happy birthday set and some steaks, and you book that out 3 or 4 times. Now you've got $400 or $500 to work with. get some accents, get another birthday set. What I will say is one of the biggest hurdles to getting started and getting started successfully is managing expectations, whether they're your own or the customers. Like Vanessa said, if somebody says, I can do anything, and then they ask you for a gorilla riding an elephant, well, now you have to fulfill that promise, or word of mouth is going to be, well, she said anything, but then she couldn't do it. So making sure that you communicate what you have and what's actually available, and managing the expectations of your customers.
I will never tell anybody I could do anything. I'll tell myself I can do anything. I will tell myself that I can do anything, but I will never tell a customer that I can do anything. I know that will just bite me in the butt. Well, if you like this, everybody, just like and subscribe before you follow along. We're not done yet, but we're gonna keep continuing going along.
Yep.
I was real curious because you said about you said people start with just like Facebook or the website, and it's the same thing for anybody in the party rental world. If you're looking at that for the most part, you should definitely start with Facebook. You should definitely go out and secure your Google My Business. That's your two most important things before you go give anybody your money doing anything else for the most part. Like you know what I mean? You almost say that you'd almost want to do that before you go buy your yard signs if you're really serious, because or you're doing it at the same time, because that's literally how important that is. It goes all one and the same. But what were you saying though?
Man, I lost my train of thought on this one. Hold on here. What I was going to say was we just, I made that mistake. And that's the one thing that we've tried to really say, I'm going to be completely honest. This was a mom side hustle for me. I couldn't find the letters I wanted and the colors and the things I wanted. So my husband made them on his wood cutting machine. I called it the Cricket for woodworking, but it cut out coroplast. And he made these stencils, and we would spray paint them, and it was awful. I don't know how my marriage survived those 3 months of like, oh well, honey, I hate this.
I need a purple R.
These people want red, yellow, black, and pink alternating, and he would look at me and be like, "Are you nuts?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And it was like, okay, we got to step back. We got to like get organized here, and we got to set our expectations, because in the beginning, we didn't. It's like Ginger said, we were doing maybe like 5 a month, and it was so exciting when we got an order that whatever you want, we'll do. And
we would do it. Yeah.
It didn't work. And so as we built this community on our Facebook, we're like, man, like this could be our best advice to you. Like, manage expectations, man. Don't ever commit that you have something before it's in your hand, because storms happen, planes have issues. And I mean, I have literally been on the phone with FedEx with a customer, like pounding on FedEx's door, begging them to find a package because they had to have it. And it's like, you just never promise anything. Over deliver, under promise.
Yes, that's a good one for sure. So now you said you definitely recommend a starter kit. What comes in a starter kit?
So the starter kit, go ahead, Ginger, if you want to talk about it.
I'll talk about the basics of the starter kit, and then Vanessa, because you're in front of the screen, you can probably go into a little bit more detail about what's in it. A starter kit, the reason why they're great, the reason why we recommend them is because Vanessa and I sat there for weeks and analyzed what are our most common occasions, what's number 2, what's number 3, what are the things we're constantly looking for as what we call filler. So you're talking about balloons, cupcakes, stars, the stuff that fills in the gaps in between. And then what is the minimum letter count I need in order to spell both a greeting and somebody's name? So that's what's in our starter kits. They were designed for yard carters by yard carters, so that the day you get your kit, you can do anywhere between 3 and 5 events the next day. So our starter kits have happy birthday in a variety of colors. They have happy anniversary, congrats for graduations. They include extra letters in pink or blue so that you can spell it's a boy, it's a girl. We have specific accents for new babies, for graduation, for wedding, and it's all in your starter kit, so that, again, managing those expectations of your customers. Oh, can you do happy anniversary? Absolutely. I can do it in black and gold. I can add the little champagne glasses, some wedding rings, blah, blah, blah. You keep it simple. The other part of that is it's basic stuff. It's not the fancy, crazy glitter with the fancy finishes and all this other stuff, right? Simply because you're new, you're practicing, you're going to screw something up, you're gonna stick a stake right through that letter. Well, if you do that with a black H and you have 7 of them, you're gonna freak out a lot less versus you bought these amazing, super cool glitter sets and you screwed it up and now you can't use your set anymore. Starter sets they're discounted, they're cheaper than our regular prices, and they give you so much material to work with and practice with and really get your feet. So Vanessa, do you want to kind of go into a little more detail of what's in ours?
Yeah, so like she said, we went through our own experience. We talked to some of those that had actually been yard carting for a while, that we talked to a few people that had been doing this longer than us, because we're always going to say we're not the experts. I started yard carting at the beginning of 2019, so I'm coming on 2 years. Ginger's going on 3 years. We still know nothing. I mean, it's always changing and evolving. We're not an expert by any means, So we reached out to a few people that had been doing this a long time and said, what do you use? What do you don't use? Emojis is always an easy one. No, does everything like an emoji? No, but emojis work for grandma. Emoji works for a 5-year-old. Emoji works for dad. Emoji works for mom. They're your basic things you need. With the hope that you also find what you're looking for. I can't tell you how many times people are like, I want to buy all this glitter, and they get it, and then they're like, oh, I think I like the look of the sparkle petter, and you're like, yes, figure out what you like, what you're looking for, and what your customers like. That's what's going to drive it. Ginger and I always joke, because she's like, everybody wants purple here, nobody wants pink, and I'm like, nobody wants purple in Colorado, they all want pink and teal. We always laugh about it, but it's true. You could buy everything in our store and not use half of it, and I would tell someone to never do that. That's not smart. Figure out what your people want, and so that was the basis of the starter set. And there are a lot of people I've learned that don't want to do the thinking. They don't want to think through how many they need, how many H's they need, how many T's they need, how many L's they need. And so that was the purpose in that. We have a lot of customers that come in with a vision, and they know what they want.
I hear A's are horrible. I hear A's and P's are horrible.
But you can turn a V upside down and stick a star in the middle, and then it's an A. Now, S's, they're a little harder.
S is a little harder, P is a little bit harder. But yeah, so our starter kits, we also made sure that, we did things fairly. There's no shipping charges on our starter kits. They come with 150 stakes. Those are the 10 by 30 stakes. And I'm going to put a little yard card detail in right here, because this is probably one of our most frequently asked questions. 6 by 30 stakes are very hard to find in our industry, but they're very necessary. We carry them. We're sold out right now. They'll be in stock later this month. But the signage industry kind of stopped making them. You can find them at very specific distributors, but they're not as widely available as they used to be. And so here's my big tip and trick, guys, is you take that 10 by 30 stake, right? It's this wide. You put your thumbs right where the H is, and you just bend it. That's all you do. It's called a taco. You take that steak, you turn it into a taco, and now it fits in I, P, Y, T, all your smaller accents, and then cut it in half, and you've got your upper and lower rows. So like we said, our starter sets literally come with everything you need to get started. And you can schedule a discovery call if you have questions about what's in them, what's missing, what else should you get, why is that in there, why isn't this in here. You just go on our website, schedule a discovery call, and we'll talk it through with you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So what does one delivery look like versus multiple deliveries? Like, what are you doing when you're delivering these? What, like, I guys pretty much get it. You don't just start putting these in the signs the day before, like the day of, and put them in the yards in the middle of the night. You're not sticking the signs outside people's houses and sticking them in, like, and putting it all together there. You're pre-planning and pre-doing this and then setting it up houses so it's faster. Maybe talk about a little bit how, even when you're delivering it, how you actually, like, I know I've seen the racking on people's walls where they'll have them all just like hanging up on racks for the most part. Yeah. I learned that from your group. And then, you know what I mean? So they're like doing that. And then, okay, you go. My bad. I don't even know.
No worries. So, Vanessa, I'll talk about pulling if you want to talk about setup, because you've got both, wind and snow, and all I have is lovely Florida weather. So yes. I'll talk about the pulling process and how that kind of works. So let me start by saying yard carting versus other rentals where it's like, look, I need a plug, I need a water source, it needs to be level ground. Those are your considerations if you're putting up like an inflatable or a climbing thing, a climbing wall, whatever. With us, number one, we recommend that you Google the home. So look at how big the yard is before you set up, oh, I'm going to put up this massive yard card, and then they've got a postage stamp yard. So first step is Google the house. Look at Google Earth. Take a look at the area that you're working with. Two, depending on where you live, like Las Vegas, California, a lot of them have artificial lawns. Make sure that there's actually somewhere that you can stake it. Otherwise, you're going to have to use a stand, which Vanessa will touch on. Step three is you're going to look at your order form. So when we originally got started, I didn't have a very good and detail-oriented fill-in-the-blank order form, and now I do. You guys are welcome to go to my website. It's bigbfl.com. So that's bigbfl.com. And take a look at the order form that I use for my yard card rental customers. I have narrowed it down to the point where I ask them, what are their 2 favorite colors? What 2 colors do you not want used? And then tell me everything about them. What do they like? What do they dislike? What's their favorite food? What's their favorite TV show? And what happens is I take that information, and that's how I decide on, number one, the color scheme. So what color is Happy Birthday going to be in? What color is their name going to be in? And what are my basic accents going to look like? So the basic filler accents, we talked about this a little bit before, are your balloons, your presents, your stars, your hearts, all of that general stuff, cupcakes that you're going to put in to fill in the space between the 2 rows. So that's step 1, right? Then I look at their accents. If it's a little girl who loves unicorns, I'm going to pull out 6 or 8 unicorns and I'm going to pop them in there. If it's a kid who's like basketball, Fortnite, dogs, I might pull 1 or 2 accents from each group, but they're not going to get everything on their list. And everything says subject to availability. When it comes to what the actual yard card looks like installed in the yard, that is specific to each designer. You're a designer. If you're putting stuff out there, you're placing the materials, you're designing the yard card. It is your aesthetic, your style that the customers like. They also like who you are, so that's relationship marketing. I'm sure we'll get into that later. But for me, I like to keep it clean. I like to keep it simple. I like different layers and stacking. Some other people go like crazy, and there's a billion things in the yard. That's their style. There's nothing wrong with that. I think when it comes to actually pulling my materials, I pull my flashes first, or my letters for Happy Birthday. Then I pull the individual's name. Then I pull their age, whatever the number is. So that way I make sure at the end of the day, no matter what happens with what I'm bringing with me, I have Happy Birthday, their name, their age, and like their balloons. That way I know that stuff is done before I start pulling accents and things of that nature. And then other than that, it's really based on what you like to do and how I explain it to customers. And this is something to keep in mind as you're trying to put things together. If you've ever bought flowers for anybody off the internet, right? You go to the florist website and it says, it's got all these FTD flowers that are all the same all the time. And then if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see where it says florist design. And that means the florist is going to go pull flowers from their inventory and they're going to make something beautiful based on how much you paid, right? That's how I describe how I do my yard cards. It's based on the inventory I have, the information you give me, and then I express it artistically on your yard. So I think that's the best way for me to articulate how I pull. It takes me about, and I unstake things, that's a whole nother conversation. It takes me about 15 minutes to pull a yard card. It takes me about an hour to pull 4.
That's actually great because I learned a lot there too, because I also learned small too, for the most part, and a good way to actually run this while you're talking about the way you pull that order. So that's very valuable. So then what about delivering them? So now you might have just deliver one of them, and you might deliver 2 of them or 3 of them in a night. What does that look like?
So I can tell you, I remember the night. I remember the first night that we had gone. I think the most we'd ever done at once was maybe 3. They were graduation parties. They were people we knew. So we went when we wanted. We kind of set them up usually. The first night, like pandemic hits, and all of a sudden, we're like, everybody's like, we're just getting all these orders, and we're like, oh my goodness. And our deal was, we would set them up at night and pick them up at night. And so I'm trying to like figure this out, and I'm going, I got like 4, and I'm shuffling through things in my car, and I'm like, well, I got to pick up the blue set to put it in this yard, and I've got stuff everywhere. And it was like this isn't going to work.
No,
this isn't going to work at all. Like, we're going to have to get a flow. And so that night it was like, I'm never doing this again. And so I adjusted, and Ginger was like, set up in the morning. And I was like, hey, that's a great idea, and we got our flow for organization, because you have to. I mean, you just have to. I can't tell you how many times we pulled a letter out of our happy birthday sets to use for a setup, and then someone didn't check to make sure all the letters were in the blue happy birthday, and the blue happy birthday is missing an H, and you're like, and so we really had to get our system down of, like, just because they want red and we need to pull some, they may want red, black, and blue, but if that requires we pull a red letter out of the red happy birthday, we just don't do it. So that those are always together, and we're always organized and systematic. I definitely tell people, set your limit. What is your limit every night? There were days during graduation time last year we were doing 12 to 15 for one day, and it was insanity. So it's like, if 5 is your limit, 5 is your limit, and that's your organization process, right? We generally both use Acuity scheduling, but before Acuity, I just had like a general form I would use, and we print them out and we go. And my husband geeks. Ginger can tell you this. He loves to geek. He plans my map and my route and how I'm going to go set them up. And we have some kids pick up. So our kids that pick up do the same thing. They do it, and we had to. Go ahead.
It's funny too, because basically my whole business, for the most part, literally grew up when I did this. Everybody starts off in party rental industry. Like, you might start off with a couple inflatables. I started off with 5 and I grew to 30 my first year, but I was flipping those 5 the first month and just going, you know what I mean? Picking them up, setting them up, you know what I mean? But then it's a little bit easier because it's an hourly thing and I didn't have to do it at night, but some of them were overnight rentals or something like that. So you got to start, you know what I mean? You start flipping them, or you got so many. And then it got to the point where I had so many out that I couldn't really pick them to the next day. So I just made sure the ones that I had out the next day were picked first. And then the ones that weren't going out the next day, those are the ones that I picked last, because that's what it really had to do when it gets crazy. You have to start juggling things, and logistics is wild. But you wanted to add something else too, Ginger?
Yeah, and speaking of logistics, so just to go through the boring part of delivery, one thing I do, just like Kurt and Vanessa do, is they plan their route out, and it seems intuitive, but we'll articulate it anyway. You're going to stack those yard cards. The first one, the last one you're going to deliver goes in the car first, and then you stack them on top of each other. I drive a Jeep Wrangler. I used to drive a Mustang. So people ask all the time, are these going to fit in my car? They fit in my Mustang with stakes on. So you just slap the seats down, put the stuff in the trunk, and you roll. When you're doing a whole bunch of orders, I do recommend that you use something, whether it's an extra sheet of Coroplast, a cardboard box, or whatever, to divide your orders. Because it just really simplifies it so that, okay, I finish this order, I take that piece out, I pop it underneath. Now my next order is on top. The way I stack them in my vehicle is we use flashes. So flashes, for those who aren't familiar in industry, flashes are large pieces which encompass a commonly used phrase or message, such as happy birthday, happy anniversary, congrats. And they're usually about 46 inches wide, and they range in height from anywhere from 24 to 36 inches. So those are always my bottom piece for the job. On top of that is my balloons, because those are usually on 30-inch stakes, so they're a little bit longer. Then I've got all of my letters and my accents in a separate stack, and then the next one goes on top of that. So every time I hit a new flash, I know, okay, everything's out of the car, and I move on. You always want to bring your marketing signs with you. So your rental signs that say yard card rentals, and then your phone number. And just a little slight hashtag marketing tip for everybody. People get really obsessed with making sure that the big thing that you see is their name or logo. What you want the customer to see when they're driving past is what the sign is selling and how they contact you. So for example, I could put my Big B's logo as the focal point, but instead I'm going to put yard card rentals and then the phone number. They don't care what my company's name is. They want to know how to get to the yard card. So always have a yard card, your rental signs with you, and then you need a flashlight You need gloves. I recommend muck boots because in Florida, there's things that will try to eat you, like scorpions and fire ants and snakes. And people have dogs and they let them poop in their front yard, which
Gators.
is disgusting.
There's gators everywhere. I love
Can we
gators.
all commiserate for a second on dog poop? Like who calls somebody? You called me to come to your house and set something up in your yard, whether it's an inflatable or a yard cart, and you didn't pick up the dog crap.
If you really want to get into dog crap, if you guys like, some people hate, the inflatable business might not be from you. The yard car business might be for you, but I hear a lot of people are making money picking up dog poop. So you know what I mean? Like I swear, they make money. I've seen a couple of those people. They make some serious money. But back to
that is where my entrepreneurship ends. I do not want to pick up.
Yeah, I'm not. I can go work and do excavating and dig pipes and stuff for people's sewers and still play with poop if I really want to do that and probably make more money and still play with poop.
That's gross.
But I don't. No, yeah, I'm not. Let's go back to marketing. So you're saying you put the yard card signs big. It's funny because the only my snow plowing business, I do snow plowing. It just says snow plowing and my phone number. That's it.
Yep.
It really big. But my party rental business, I make really ornate signs and I put them up near water slides because you see a 20-foot water slide and then you stop. And then you have enough time to see the detail on the sign that's next to the water slide. And that's my whole marketing trick there.
I understand your motivation. I'm going to give you a little counter. I'm going to give a little counter feedback on that. People that are going to be renting water slides usually have small children and they're in the car and they don't want to stop with them because they're trying to get those children out of the car so they can go drink coffee. So they're rolling past that sign at 25 miles an hour.
It's what it really is too. Like it's in your neighborhood because that's a neighborhood thing. I'm really trying to grab the neighbors for the most part. I don't really care about people driving by. I'm really driving the neighbors, and then that's what it is. And will walk by just to be nosy to see, and they will see that sign. And then for a fact, I even have little kids, moms with their kids full of cars stop while I'm setting them up all the time. And that's one of the reasons I actually
see you.
So if I have but the thing is, I don't just stick them there. I always ask the customer, can I put my sign in your yard? Like it's just something I always ask them just for see for the most. I'm not going to use their. Some people like, no, I don't want. You know what I mean? No. It's like, just because they can say no, it's their yard.
They just want the option to refuse you.
Exactly. And if I give them that and I don't do it, then they feel better anyways. And they might book with me. I'm like, yeah, I told him no. Maybe I'll bring him back and tell him I can't put his sign in the yard again. But no, I don't know. I treat the customers just like I treat my viewers nice. Like and subscribe.
That's right. Gotta be nice.
What is your guess that happened in 2021?
Oh gosh. Vanessa, you take this one. You're muted.
You're muted.
There we go. Sorry, technical difficulties and a crying 4-year-old. This is real life.
Oh, you're all good.
I can't even make up the insanity of having 3 little minions running around. So what is my guess of what will happen in 2021? Well, I'm this in regards to life, who knows? But in regards to yard carting, people have asked, is this just a response to the pandemic? Is this just going to be a passing phase, a thing that's cool during the pandemic and it goes away? And my answer would be no. I'm pretty confident yard carting isn't going away. It's actually been around for about 10 years. The state of Texas and Florida, it's not a new thing to them. Now, I would tell you the state of Colorado hadn't seen it until the last 3 years. So it's newer to a lot of areas. But what I will say is that what's cool is our industry got a big old spotlight on it, directly on it this year. People know what it is. As Jedra said, we were so busy trying to convince people what a yard card was and how cool it was 2 or 3 years ago. People know what it is now. They expect it. It's become a thing. And because we own our own rental businesses too, we hear it. Parents are like, oh, I want to do this every year. Oh, I did this for my daughter's 16th birthday. I got to do it next year for my son's 16th birthday. It's becoming a thing. I've loved working with schools. I know I'm a teacher. I don't even know how I say that. I'm a teacher because I'm not really anymore. I was staying home for a few years, and then all of a sudden I had what I call my fourth child, known as yard card supply. So I don't know if I'll ever be a teacher again, but when I was teaching, we were always looking for those things to make the first day of school special, make the 100th day of school special. In elementary, we love these days. And, so for our schools, this has become part of what they do. It's exciting. It's fun. They do class pictures with the signs every year. So 2021, I continue to see yard carding grow. I continue to see people in the party industry and the party world weave it together. Pandemic slows down. I don't know if it ever quote unquote ends, but it gets better. Coronavirus gets, much better. I feel like we're going to be seeing people face painting and yard carding and, hey, I'm going to do face painting at your kid's birthday and I'm going to have this company set up a bounce house and that bounce house company does face painting, yard carding, and bounce houses. Great.
One-stop shop.
I think we're going to see this grow in that sense, and that's really exciting. It's been a big learning curve for us. I've learned so much about balloons, bounce houses, all of these, and so I think we're going to see a lot more integration in the coming years, and I can't wait. I was really starting to dip into the event world pre-pandemic of how signage could be used for events, proms, backdrops, things like that, and so I really foresee that being a new element that we see in 2021 as hopefully life gets a little more normal, that, this is the backdrop and this is what you get to take photos in front of. I did a wine festival. It was great. That's what everybody took photos in front of. And it was so fun. That's where I see us growing right now.
Yeah.
There's a
for
bunch
2021.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was about to say there's a bunch of Facebook groups for the most part. You guys have one. I have one, Party Rental Knowledge Group. The link is in the description. Everybody knows groups. Like I see them multiple different people. My group has everybody from everywhere in it for the most part, talking about everything so everybody can learn. But there's like just groups about bounce houses, just groups about yard signs, just groups about just event rentals in general, and everybody there's talking about yard cards in those groups. There's somebody asking questions about them and trying to find more information about them, because this is the thing, and a lot of them are adding them to their industry for the most part. But I'm sorry for cutting. What is your guess for 2021?
What I see, especially for the yard card industry, is that you're going to see more commercial application of yard cards or yard greetings, whatever you want to call them. So there's a lot of local ordinance about permanent signage and advertising, things of that nature. Yard cards are considered an advertising enhancement device. They're not considered a sign because they're not permanent. So it's a great way for businesses to be able to say, hey, we're having a sale, or just to draw attention to their location by putting out a holiday greeting, whether it's Happy Valentine's Day, we love our customers, or thank you, law enforcement, because it's Law Enforcement Appreciation Week. And what it does is it draws the public's attention by looking at the sign, and then all you have to do is book out whatever that company's logo. You have a company like ours print it and you slap it in there, and it's like, here's Merry Christmas from, Bob's Shoe Store, things of that nature. So I see a lot more commercial applications, involvement with large nonprofits, making sure that their virtual events are colorful and fun. And what I like to say to my customers is go big and stay home. We're able to do that with yard cards, and now it's starting to come out into the commercial realm where they're like, oh, these aren't fly-by-night little mom and pop shops. These people take their business seriously. They take their artwork seriously, and they're going to respect my business and bring positive attention to it through messaging. So that's what I see for 2021.
I was thinking too, what if my goal is to bring everybody together more so they can learn more. And then I was even thinking, what if you yard card people were to start setting up like the inflatables, like the actual inflatable wacky wave men that we have for our advertising and stuff like that. There's all kinds of different inflatable. Like if you guys are into businesses, we have giant cold air balloons, like the giant inflatables that like military men or stuff that you could put the banners on. And all you have to do is really just order those banners and put it on there, and boom, they can have the company logos on those.
Love that.
I'm thinking about doing more. Yeah, like, and if you're doing signs and you're already hitting people, it's honestly very interesting. But when you start buying a giant inflatable, who are you going to learn about rolling it and taking care of it and storing it? Well, you go to partyrentalknowledge.com or something like that.
Exactly.
So
And there's that collaboration.
That's what I really like. And then, but I was saying too, before we even started, as far as 2021 goes, I don't, like you said, I don't think that this is going to die down as far as a search term whatsoever, because the search term was already there. It just wasn't good. And then now it's in everybody's head. So it's going to go well regardless. Now, if the fan was, or something like that, well, last year this drive crazy during that. So then it would be, if you are a doomsday prepper and you're all Dr. Doom and Judy Gloom or whatever you want to say, like literally you're literally going to be like in heaven. You should be doubling down on yard cards in reality, if that's where you're thinking things are going to be heading. So
yeah,
in my all reality, I think it's going to be a win-win for 2021. I want to thank you guys for having you today. I'm going to have you guys' names come back on the screen. Where can I find you guys at? Plug some of your social media or something like that, your website.
Absolutely. So you can find us at Yard Card Supply on Facebook and Instagram. We have a great Facebook group, over 3,500 members, and just the amount of information shared and collaboration there is immeasurable. The people are just phenomenal. It is Yard Card Business Support and Supply. That is the name of our Facebook group. And then our website is www.yardcardsupply.com, the original trade-only wholesale yard card supplier.
Awesome. Thank you for having you guys on today and spreading the information to the audience and to the party rental world.